How many watts? That was the question. When I was a hi-fi salesman, how many watts? How many watts is that speaker? How many watts is that amplifier? That was it. That was by far the most popular subject when people walked into the store. How many watts? And I would tell them. I'd say, okay, it's 100 watts. They go, okay, sure. But anyway, today it's about craving power, like as in I need more of it. You know, I was listening to this great tune by a guy named Quantic, or a band named Quantic. It's called 1000 watts. It's so catchy. It's one of those things I keep playing it over and over and over again. I will link to it below. But it set me thinking. And then I started getting these emails, a bunch of emails from people asking about very high power electronics. This one guy says he has a 200 watt per channel amplifier right now. Should he get a 500 watt per channel monoblocks, is what he was asking about. Well, it all depends, right? It depends on a bunch of things. It depends on A, how loud do you listen? That's the first and by far the most important questions, because most people, if you ask the average audiophile, which I did many times, well, how loud do you listen? They go, oh, I don't listen that loud. Sometimes I have a party or something, but I don't listen loud. Well, okay, then you probably don't need that much power. But sometimes they do. Sometimes they want to play it outside in their backyard or something. Well, then you're going to need a lot of power. And then maybe 500 watts would be adequate, as we used to say. So how much power? Well, A, how loud do you listen? Numero uno, right? Secondarily, how sensitive, how efficient are your speakers? Your speakers are highly efficient, sensitive. They don't need a lot of watts to play at a given volume level. How big is your room? Big rooms soak up more power than small rooms. I mean, it's a lot. Big differences. And of course, outside it's a really big room, and then you need even more to play loud, which is what this is all about, really. But anyway, today it is about power, and it's a subject that never gets old. How many watts are enough? Well, I think we're actually past that in this case. I think people just want it. It isn't because they actually need it. I mean, some folks are in this thing of amplifiers coasting, you know, like, oh, I got 100 watts per channel, but I'm looking at the meter, I see it's only playing at 2 or 3 watts, but I think it's cool, because the amplifier is just loafing along, and it's going to sound its best when it's only putting out a couple of watts. I don't really think it works that way. Not really. No. I think you need X amount of power to play a certain level, and I don't think coasting is... Amplifiers are not human beings. They're not pedaling to create the power. You know, they're just taking their power supply, delivering it to the output stage, and out comes the power. I don't think they really care. Now, as you approach their limit of power, where they might start clipping, well, then the power limitations become very significant, and you would need more power, absolutely, positively. But if the coasting thing is not relevant, really, when it comes to amplifiers, just buy enough power. Not just enough, because no, but usually people have too much rather than too little. I've lived with my share of arch drive speakers. Magnepans, for example, I love them. I love them to death, but they do respond well to power. And that's a speaker that you have a little extra in there is not a bad idea. Because to light them up, to make them dynamic, takes some serious amount of current. Usually solid state is the answer. But, you know, some of you guys really like tubes on Maggies. Who am I to say no? But anyway, more is definitely a good idea. And I live with TAD ME1 speakers, these beautiful Japanese monitor speakers that are rated at 84, 85 dB sensitivity. Yeah, they like power. Yeah, more the better. Absolutely. But you know, the lowest sensitivity speaker that I had here for any length of time was the Harbith P3 ESR, rated at 83.5 dB sensitivity. Wow, that is a power-hungry little speaker. But the thing is, it's a monitor speaker. You listen to it closer. I found it sounded best when I was 4 or 5 feet away from it, near field. And listening near field, even though it's harsh driving, well, insensitive, I never had a power issue. I use it with relatively low powered amplifiers. There's a funny story about, well, it wasn't funny for the people who live with this, but the Ohm F speaker in the 70s, this omnidirectional speaker, they still make them. in some form at the Ohm factory not far from me in Brooklyn. That speaker was famous for being hard to drive, and the line was, it takes 300 watts to get it going and 301 to blow it up. You just reach that point with that speaker and they fry. Those voice coils just lit up, baby, and they were gone. Gone, baby, gone. But that's not true anymore. Ohm fixed that problem a long time ago. But that was a saying, and it was just bringing it up as a famously hard to drive speaker that just loved power. Power doesn't have to be expensive. There's a whole series of Crown Class D amplifiers. They're very high powered, very low cost. If you want a Class AB amplifier and crave power, the Schiit Vidar in mono is 400 watts per channel, obviously, and that runs $1,400 a pair. So Class AB, very high power. There you go. It's doable. Now, of course, if you're a high roller kind of audiophile, I mean a very high roller audiophile, you got to check out the Dan D'Agostino Relentless. That's a name for an amplifier. The Relentless is packing some heat. How powerful is it, you're saying? It's really powerful. It puts out 1,500 watts into 8 ohm speakers, 3,000 watts into 4 ohms, and a staggering 6,000 watts into 2 ohm loads. Now that could be some Big Mackies definitely dip down. Anyway, yeah, by the way, they're $250,000 a pair. And they're really heavy. They weigh 570 pounds each, naked. In their shipping cases, they weigh considerably more. Now at the other end of the spectrum comes very low powered amplifiers. Like I'm going to be reviewing soon, I think, this Deckware Super Zen Triode. It's beautiful little amp, 2 watts per channel, 2 or 2.0 watts per channel. And it's made in the US, costs $995, has a tube rectifier. And when I hook up that 2-watt amplifier to my Klipsch Cornwall 4 speakers with 102 sensitivity, you know what? I bet that combination can play loud enough that if I really cranked it, my neighbors would call the cops. Now, of course, I'm not actually suggesting that's a viable combination that I would want to use a 2-watt amplifier to party with on my Cornwalls. No, not really. But in terms of everyday listening, you know what? I think that 2 watts is really going to sing. I think it's going to light up the Cornwalls very nicely. Of course, I want to hear from you guys. Like, you guys that are power-hungry audiophiles, tell me your stories in the comments section, please. Because, you know, we come in all shapes and flavors and sizes, us audiophiles. We vary a lot. We're groups, right? We got the tube people, we got the solid state people, we got the electrostatic guys, the horn guys, and of course you guys, the high power guys. And I haven't paid enough attention to you. I'm sorry, I've neglected you too long, right? Of course, I did have Sean from Zoo on just recently, and he was talking about in his factory he uses a 20,000 watt amplifier to break in his speakers. So I always thought of Sean, since he makes high sensitivity speakers, as a low power guy. But actually, talking to him, no, I was corrected. He actually likes lots of power, because with lots of power, what you get when you play it loud is you can get, well, approaching life-like dynamics. That's what it really is about. It's not just sustained high-level volume. It's that rim shot, you know, it's that screech of an electric guitar that you could need power instantaneously for those transients. And that's where the power, for in extreme cases, when you're playing really loud, can definitely come in handy. So yes, if you guys are into power, I want to hear all about it. If you're into extreme low power, if you're into 1 watt or under 1 watt amplifiers, because I knew a guy back in the day who actually had a 1/2 watt amplifier, just to do it, you know, just to say, no, I can live with a 1/2 watt amplifier, and it sounded gorgeous actually. But I want to hear your stories about high power, low power, medium power, whatever you got. Power is the question. Power is today's subject. And I think I'm done. This is still the Audiophiliac Daily Show. And right now it's coming up, well, 5 or 6 days a week. That could change, could go up, could go down. We'll see. If you like these things that I do, please subscribe. Oh, if you've already subscribed, because I'm always haranguing you people to subscribe. If you've already done it, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for hitting that little notification bell. It's all good. Let's see. You can, if this isn't enough and you want more, I got more. You could check me out on Twitter at AudiophiliacMan, on Instagram at Steve.Guttenberg. Oh, best of all is the Patreon. Whew, I almost forgot. Please check that out at patreon.com/audiophiliac. Now, by popular demand, it is linked to in that description right down there, so you don't have to write it down. That's cool, right? Okay. I think my work here is at last complete. Thank you so much for watching, and I really do hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Bye-bye.